putting him in jail for a total of 13 days for his next bail review. And we don't know if he'll get out even then, because the reason Pastor Derek is sitting there is not because he hasn't been granted bail. It's that he can't sign conditions that will force him to violate his conscience.
Angelica Toy reporting for Rebel News in Calgary. Pastor Derek Reimer is the pastor of Mission 7 Ministries, who feeds the homeless and ministers to the vulnerable in the downtown core. He was arrested Thursday afternoon after he was assaulted while protesting a children's drag queen story hour event in Calgary's Seton Library. Today, I am outside of the Calgary courts where Pastor Derek is currently facing a bail hearing. A few folks have congregated outside of the court center, and they're calling justice for Derek. Pastor Derek was offered bail last week with a $3,000 promise to pay with conditions that may have potentially included staying away from drag queen events. Our chief reporter Sheila Gunn-Reid is inside live tweeting to keep you updated. I will be speaking with her once the hearing has wrapped. To see our coverage and to contribute to his official legal fund, head to SavePastorDerek.com, where all donations qualify for a charitable tax receipt through partnership with the Democracy Fund.
To be honest, we asked for this because we took God out of our country. We took God out of politics. We took God out of schools. And we asked for this. God appoints all leaders for either judgment or blessings. And because of where we're at today, because of how the world brought God out of the world, now we're paying for it.
Unfortunately, some members of our population thought it would be a good idea to protest this event, which is, I'm just going to use my opinion, a horrible thing to do. We cannot have this kind of intolerance and hatred in our city. So
I don't understand, as a mayor, you're supposed to be inclusive with everything. So now she's denying Christianity in the Calgary, city of Calgary. That was a Christian-based city, and she's denying that. And she's superseding the drag queens over any other thing. So where's our inclusion as Christians? Why can't we be included? It's sad. She needs to be taken out of here. Absolutely, she needs to go.
Well, she's a tyrant, and she's showing her true colors. She was more or less silent for the last year since she did that injunction on peaceful protesters. So we knew she was a tyrant, a sociopathic dictator in the city of Calgary. But now she's really showing how much she hates Christianity, and she defends these LGBTQ, A, B, C, D, E, F, G people, but she doesn't defend Christians when there's actual violence and hate perpetrated against them. I witnessed many hate crimes, many violent attacks throughout the week, and she has not made one statement. She is not enabling the police to do anything about it. It's always us who gets attacked because they hate Christianity. That's the truth.
The mayor is obviously someone that is very dark. I don't know if the mayor has any sense of godliness. Her name is Gondek, but I would rather call her godless, Jati godless, because she has no idea what it is to be a God-fearing person. And she has come into this position. We don't know how. We don't know who voted for her. I have never met anyone that actually voted for her. But here she is. She's now sits in the highest throne in Calgary. And she's basically making her own laws out of nothing. She now apparently has the power to suppress any kind of speech that she doesn't like. Where are the rights of the people? Why doesn't she recognize the rights of the people? These rights have been around for millennium. She all of a sudden comes in and she has the power to change things overnight. Something is wrong here. Something is crooked. Something has happened to our country completely.
Derek Reimer is a political prisoner because he stands for his convictions, because he stands for God, and the world will rebuke him. And this city, this wicked city, is planning to hold him for another week. They want to shut him up. That's the problem. He's a brother in the Lord, and he stands for his convictions.
So the scoop is that, well, first of all, the local media is completely disinterested. So we know that Tucker Carlson, the foreign media, they're very concerned about what's happening here in Calgary under Mayor Jyoti Gondek, weaponizing municipal bylaws and then promising more bylaws and a police crackdown on the likes of Pastor Derek. They're looking upon this with horror. But I was the only journalist in the courtroom outside of a student journalist who is just here, out of curiosity to get some practice. There wasn't a single mainstream media journalist there. And you would think that a pastor arrested and held now for, we start 5 days. It's 5 days today for Pastor Derek. You think that they would be interested, but they are completely not.
And what did the courts say today?
So the court said that Pastor Derek will remain in jail until, I believe it's the 14th. There was a discussion between a lawyer for Pastor Derek and the Crown. And the Crown that's here today is not the Crown that's assigned to the case, so they can't negotiate any of the conditions of his release. So Pastor Derek will sit in jail for another 8 days, putting him in jail for a total of 13 days for his next bail review. And we don't know if he'll get out even then, because the reason Pastor Derek is sitting there is not because he hasn't been granted bail, it's that he can't sign conditions that will force him to violate his conscience. So we know a little more than we knew before. We know that he was granted release as long as he put up $3,000 and signed bail conditions. Now, we don't even know what those bail conditions are. I'm gonna guess they're to stay away from drag queen story hours and to not protest. And we know Pastor Derek, he can't do that.
That Derek Reimer sitting in jail for 1 day is too much. And now they've said he's going to be sitting in jail for another week. It's an absolute travesty. There's no other way to say this. Demonically influenced.
One love, bro. That's a hate crime. That's a hate crime.
It's a shame. It's a sad day in Alberta that pastors are being arrested to speak God's word, speak against what our founding nation was founded on moral law. What's happening, that these drag queens are taking precedence over our Christianity. Our country was founded on Christianity. And to be arrested and then to be locked up and denied bail because he refuses to sign conditions that go against our charter of rights. As a pastor, he should have the freedom to speak and to preach, and he's denied that. It's a shame. It's a sad day. This place should be with thousands of people and pastors fighting against this. This is so wrong. Our premier, where's our premier? Why is there not even a word said about this? This is her country, her province. Something should be done about this. This has to stop. It's sad.
Well, I want to say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I mean, I've went through this with my dad many times, and the prosecutors don't play fair. The judges don't play fair, and if they're imposing egregious conditions on Derek, then I don't blame him for denying them, because they infringe his Charter of Rights and Freedoms and his personal convictions. So I don't blame him for denying them, and for this being pushed a week, I guess, to March 14th. Because that's just how that's the game. They delay and they push this so that they can punish a pastor as much as possible. So that's how they play. They fight dirty. So I'm not surprised.
It was very disappointing in the sense that it took him about 2 minutes to present the case to the judge for adjournment. So what this means is that Pastor Derek Reimer doesn't get justice again. They could have issued bail and basically review it later. But no, they instead kept him in jail for another at least a week and a day. So they're basically having a new court hearing on March the 14th. But he's facing another 7 days of jail time unnecessarily. He hasn't been judged. The court system is completely broken. I don't understand how they can continue to do this. We saw this with Pastor Art Pawlowski in Lethbridge, and now we're seeing yet another pastor being dragged through the courts as they please. We're not lawless, they are lawless.
Arresting Pastor Derek is an attack on all the rights of Calgarians to protest the decisions the city makes. He needs our help so he can get back on the streets to help others. To contribute to his legal fund, please visit savepastorderek.com, where all your donations qualify for a charitable tax receipt. Thank you for joining me today. Stay strong and stay free. For Rebel News, I'm Angelica Toy.